Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna talk about the real estate market in Croatia. And in this video we're going to cover the following topics. The state of the Croatian property market in terms of prices. There are basically three regions when talking about property prices in Croatia. There is Zagreb, the capital, the Adriatic Coast, and everywhere else which is not in these two areas, such as the region of Slavonia and other areas surrounding Zagreb, such as cities like Karlovac or Sisak and many others. Then we're going to talk about rental yields and price growth in the Croatian property market, followed by getting a residence permit by buying property in Croatia. Then we're going to take a look at the best websites to find property in Croatia. And then finally some other considerations which I consider important in terms of financing and bureaucracy when buying or renting property in Croatia, and also from an investment point of view if you want to invest in Airbnbs in Croatia, for example. And finally, my personal verdict regarding the situation of the Croatian property market. And before we start, as always, if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button, check our other videos, book a consultation call with me. It will be a pleasure for me to help you planning your immigration strategy in terms of getting a residence permit, investing abroad, opening bank accounts abroad, and other topics related to moving to a different country. And most importantly, subscribe! Let's start! We're going to start this video talking about prices, property prices in Croatia. There are three regions with quite different prices. The most expensive one is the Adriatic Coast, then we have the capital Zagreb, and then we have everywhere else in the country. Prices on the coast, on the Adriatic Coast, are by far the highest in Croatia, notably in cities like Split and Dubrovnik, in which prices are extremely high. Square meter prices in Split hover around 3,000 to 4,000 euros, and in Dubrovnik, the most expensive city to buy property in Croatia, they hover around 7,000 euros. But even when we talk about these cities, there are significant differences, because if we consider the very heart of the old town in both cities, prices can go even higher, even above 10,000 euros per square meter. So they are very expensive, but the demand for these places is also extremely high. In the capital Zagreb, prices are lower than on the seaside. Croatia is one of the only countries in Europe where the capital is in fact not the location of the most expensive property prices in the country. In the case of Croatia, prices on the seaside are significantly higher than in Zagreb. Maybe smaller cities on the coast have comparable prices to Zagreb, but all in all, larger cities on the coast have quite high prices. Rijeka is also another exception, in which prices are somewhat comparable to what you'll find in the capital Zagreb. All other cities in the country, which are not on the seaside and also not the capital, are much cheaper. Those include places like Osijek, Karlovac, Varaždin, Koprivnica and many other cities, where you can find a number of offers in the 1,000 euros per square meter range. If you want to buy a countryside house in Croatia, prices can easily go much lower than that. You can easily find offers for 500 euros per square meter of built area, plus the plot. Now we're going to talk about rental yields and price growth if you want to invest in property in Croatia, as well as if you want to move to Croatia and rent instead of buying. Rental yields in Croatia are relatively interesting for Central European terms. In Zagreb, the city with the highest demand year-round, they will be at around 4 to 5% per year. So if you buy an apartment of 100,000 euros, you can expect to earn something around 4 to 5,000 euros per year in rental income. At the seaside, yields are higher, but the occupancy is highly seasonal. While in summer you can earn a lot of money, during winter, late autumn and early spring, it is pretty quiet and hard to find short-term tenants. Many locals who own property at the seaside live off rentals during summer and do not work in any other type of activity. So this is an option if you want to invest in a property at the seaside to live off the rental income. You can actually just work during season, and the rest of the year you can go watch TV, travel or do something else. Liquidity in Zagreb and on the coast is pretty good, and you won't find a lot of trouble to sell your property in most cases. There's a lot of demand on the seaside from other people in Europe, buyers from Slovenia, from Austria, from Germany. Since the proximity of the Croatian coast, it's very easy for them to drive just a few hours and be at the coast of Croatia. However, in smaller towns, which are not by the sea, liquidity is very low and selling a property is very difficult. So if you buy a property, an apartment in Osijek, you cannot expect to sell it anytime soon. And if you buy a farm, for example, or just a house in a town, you cannot expect to sell it anytime soon, even if you list it for a very low price. In cities like Osijek, it's still, you may be able to actually sell it, but smaller towns, very difficult. Now we're gonna talk about residence permit by property purchase in Croatia. It is actually possible to get a residence permit if you own real estate in Croatia, but it has a number of restrictions. If you own real estate in Croatia and you are not an EU citizen, you cannot stay year-round in Croatia even if you own property. The maximum amount of months you can stay per year in your property using the ownership as grounds to stay is 9 months per year. This is very complicated, and I will explain now why I think it's not a good idea to get a residence permit in Croatia by buying property in the country. One of the main reasons, first of all, you can't stay year-round in Croatia. You have to find 3 months of the year where you have to be outside of the country. Then the second problem is that owning real estate in Croatia also doesn't lead to permanent residency and to citizenship. So this is a very important disadvantage of the Croatian real estate market compared to other countries in the Balkans. In neighboring countries like Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbia, you can get a full year renewable temporary residence permit by owning real estate. A huge advantage compared to Croatia. In these countries, the ownership of real estate coupled with living a number of years in the country can lead to permanent residence and then finally citizenship. However, if you are an EU citizen, there will be no problems in that sense though. You can enjoy your real estate in Croatia year-round and register your stay in the country indefinitely. Even if you don't own real estate, you can just move to Croatia, register your stay as an EU citizen. There will be no restrictions in that sense. If you move to Croatia, you will also have advantages in some types of taxes, such as capital gains taxes, which are lower in Croatia than most European countries. The same applies to property rental taxes, which are also lower than average for Europe in Croatia. So for example, if you live off stock dividends, of royalties, of dividends of a company in another country, or also capital gains if you trade stocks, Croatia actually has very low taxes in that sense, especially if you compare to countries nearby like Austria, Italy, or Germany. Then the cost of living is also moderate in Croatia. Zagreb and the countryside are especially affordable. The seaside is actually more expensive and prices are comparable to other seaside destinations like those in Italy or Spain. So seaside, more expensive, rest of the country comparable to other countries in Central Europe like Hungary, Slovakia or Poland. Now we're gonna talk about the best websites to find property in Croatia. So let's go and check them. So here we are, let's check the best websites in Croatia to buy and rent properties. The first one is Njuskalo. The website is njuskalo.hr, but you have to say Njuskalo because of the S, like this. And this website actually has all types of classified ads, including real estate, and that is what we're gonna check right now. The first option here, the second option actually, nekretnine, which means real estate. Then we click here. Then we have kuće, stanovi, which houses, apartments, but we can simply click here and translate it to English to make our life easier. It didn't work, did it? Translate to English, let's try it again. Yeah, okay. Now we have houses, apartments, land, everything, and then we can check the sale of apartments. Then you can choose where you want to find an apartment. Let's say city of Zagreb. And then you can select all the filters: price, living area, apartment type. Let's just select some. Let's just check something randomly here. Okay, Zvonimirova. The problem with this website is that you can't actually search on a map, but many of the ads have maps. Let's see if we can find one with a map on it. Yeah, so here's the map. What I usually do here, let's see if it will work first of all. Okay, here we are. I click on show nearby ads, then you click here. And then if you are interested in a specific region, you just go and click on different options here, and then you can go to the listing. but you can't from the start choose and search directly on a map. So that's one of the main problems, but this is the most popular website in Croatia to look for apartments and houses. Have a lot of information here, and that's it. Okay, let's check the second option, which is index.hr. So here we are on index.hr, which is one of the most popular web portals in Croatia. But we're gonna go here to the Oglasi, which means classified ads. And then I click here. Then the same thing, translate to English. You can do this on Google Chrome or Firefox. And then you choose whatever you want. Houses for sale, for example. And then you choose something that might be of your interest. Okay, this is by minimum price actually. Let's check this first house, see what this is about. Nice little lovely house somewhere deep in the countryside of Croatia. So that's it. Let's go back to the studio and continue our video. Back to the studio, now make some other considerations before you consider buying property in Croatia. One of the problems of Croatia, and also most countries in Central Europe, is that it is nearly impossible to get financing if you're not a resident of the country. Unlike other countries like Spain, Portugal, and even Serbia, getting a mortgage is quite difficult. In most cases, you must be a resident of Croatia to get a mortgage, and ideally, your income also has to be from Croatia. So if you're a digital nomad, for example, this might be a problem, but that is a lesser problem. The main problem is that you must be a resident in Croatia for most banks to give you a mortgage. Other important thing you should consider when buying real estate in Croatia is checking the paperwork of the property. It is not uncommon that a property has several owners and some of them are even abroad or inherited it and live in Australia and Canada, somewhere else. Make sure the status and the ownership of the property you are interested in are up to date. If you want to buy a property to run it as an Airbnb in Croatia, that is actually a great idea. The country is heavily reliant on tourism, and getting a license to operate daily rentals is relatively easy in any part of the country. I do not expect that Croatia will tighten up Airbnb conditions like it was done in many parts of Europe, like in Hungary, in parts of Spain, Amsterdam, and other cities and countries in Europe. Finally, we get to the verdict, my personal verdict regarding investing in real estate in Croatia. Croatia is a great place if you want to live in a prime location in Europe with relatively affordable prices if you stay away from the coast. Croatia is also a good option if you want to invest in Airbnb or start a hostel or hotel. This applies to the seaside and also to the capital Zagreb. As Croatia is very reliant on tourism, the government tends to make it easier if you want to run some kind of daily rental or a hostel or a hotel. In Croatia, that's one of the best business models you can possibly find. But at the same time, it is not a great place to get a residence permit if you are a non-EU citizen. As a matter of fact, Croatia is one of the hardest places to acquire residency in Central Europe. It is much easier to get a residence permit in Serbia or in Hungary or in the Czech Republic than in Croatia. Then, from the point of view of rental yields, they are pretty decent and the economy is pretty stable, which adds attractivity to the real estate market in the country. So if you want to buy a property to rent it out in Zagreb, it might be actually a very good idea, better than cities like Belgrade or Sarajevo in the region. That's it for today's video. Tell me in the comment section, what do you think about Croatia? Would you move there? Would you buy property in the country? And as always, if you want to travel, move, or invest abroad, hit the like button. Check our other videos. Contact me, book a consultation call. The link is in the description. We can plan together your immigration strategy. And most importantly, subscribe! See you next time.